Right. Good morning once again and welcome back. This is Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, your radio experience you can count on. And this is Eagles Outlook. Well, today being Friday, the 13th day in the month of September 2024, we're going to be discussing 2024 flooding and also charting the way forward. I am Omohefe Peace Osemere. Now, let's quickly take the background. The federal government has approved 3 billion naira for each state of the federation to tackle all forms of natural disasters. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who dropped hints about the development, stressed the commitment of the President Bola Tinubu administration to partner the states towards addressing the challenges of flood and other natural disasters in the country. Shettima stated this in Abuja when he received the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Tajuddin Abbas, who paid him a commiseration visit at State House following the devastating effect of the recent flooding in Maiduguri, the Borno state capital. He said the financial support was to give the subnational government a sense of belonging. The vice president described the Borno flood disaster as a national calamity that befell not just the state but the entire country. It would be recorded by the governor of Borno State, Babagana Zulum, after visiting camps where victims of Monday's flood in Maiduguri were camped, has said the situation was devastating. The flooding in Borno State is reportedly the worst in 30 years. 4/5 of the country is reportedly ravaged by the floods. In the meantime, Nigeria Hydrological Services Agency, NISA, has affirmed that the flooding being experienced is flash flooding as a result of excessive rainfall. On its part, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has said that the flood is expected to move southwards, that's towards the Niger Delta region, in the coming days or weeks. Well, that being said, 2024 flooding, charting the way forward. I have with me not in the studios actually, he joins us live via telephone this morning, Dr. Austin Mao. He is a public affairs analyst and also publisher at Daybreak Nigeria. Good morning to you, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us. Hello, Dr. Austin, are you there?
Yes, good morning.
All right. Now, so much to talk about with a lot to take in. A lot is going on in Borno State at the moment. Borno State is actually, one of the states, worst hit by this flooding this year. One would say that this is not like a recurring decimal for us in Nigeria, even though it's like, a natural disaster.
Yes, I'm with you. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? All right. All right, we'll make efforts to link up with Dr. Austin once again to share his, thoughts on the latest development across the country. But in the meantime, you can call in, you listening out there, to share your thought with us as well. Tell us, what lessons can be learned from this and proactive measures, as a matter of fact, that should be adopted to avoid a recurrence of these devastating incidents. All right, we have Dr. Austin on the line. Good morning to you, sir. Hello there. Good morning. Hello? Dr. Austin, are you there? Hello, good morning. All right, well, do want to call in on 09087668888. I'll send a voice note, please, to the WhatsApp platform on 09009705450. Yes, you can also send a message to the WhatsApp platform too. Let's hear from you what proactive measures should be adopted to avoid, a repetition of this devastating incident here in Nigeria. This appears to be a trend now. We understand it's not just, this is not a typical, situation in Nigeria. It's not just typical of Nigeria. Even in other climes, cases of floodings, have been recorded. But with all that's happened in Nigeria, and with the promises and assurances from the relevant stakeholders, government at all levels, to be proactive. It's not like a yearly thing for us in Nigeria, but it appears the measures that we've put in place to avoid these kinds of incidents or devastating trends are not long term but short term. But what exactly are your thoughts? We have Dr. Austin on the line now. Good morning to you, Dr. Austin. All right. We're actually making efforts to link up with Dr. Austin. I don't know what's going on this morning with the network, but please hang on, just stay there. We'll definitely link up with you in a moment. But to the listeners out there, please do want to call in and share your thoughts with us. Yes, on this particular subject matter. I mean, we've seen pictures, very disturbing pictures of even very young children affected by the flooding in Borno State. We also understand that other states are also affected by the 2024 flooding, but Borno State seems to be the worst hit as we speak. Dr. Austin, are you there? Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. I can hear you now.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Thank you. Right. We're talking about the floodings, in Borno State and, other states across Nigeria. Borno State seems to be the worst hit as we speak. A number of deaths have been recorded, and properties already destroyed, farmlands, washed away. A million, people or even more, already, impacted by the floodings this year. But did the impact of this year's flooding come to you as a surprise? Let's start from there, Dr. Austin.
Yeah, if you tell me what I came to me as a surprise, I'll say certainly no. It didn't come to me as a surprise. There have been issues, with us as a country. There have been warnings at the global level in respect of the rising sea level, depletion of the ozone layer, depletion of glaciers in the south, in the north and the southern poles. And you know that in July, sometimes in July, if my memory serves me right, the world recorded the highest temperatures in living memory. All this goes to show that, look,
are you there, Dr. Austin?
but at the end of the global warming is because we can actually attribute what happened in Borno State and other parts of Nigeria to two factors. One, global warming, and negligence on the part of the federal government to take proactive steps to dealing with existential problems, to dealing with foreseeable measures in place, mitigating factors in place to address them. The issue of whether I'm surprised that this happened, I'm surprised that it happened. I'm not sure that our state of preparedness in dealing with situation came short when it was needed. Because we cannot go on, because specifically when we talk about Borno and what happened in Borno, it's not that there was flooding. The real issue, the real disaster in the Borno case is that a dam, the Allah Dam, burst its banks. So the question, and that bank and that dam we know was constructed way back in 1982. So the question we should be asking government and those influencing factors, what did they do when the bank was full? Right. What were the signals sent out to people? Who was responsible for making sure that when the dam was overflowing the banks, measures were taken to ensure that it didn't get to this disaster level?
All right.
The point is that nothing was done. Right. For a dam that was built in 1982, how has that dam been maintained over the years?
All right, let me come in real quick, Dr.
We cannot go back and has the dam been properly maintained? And measures put in place to ensure that even as we speak, have people been held responsible, accountable for what happened in Borno State? that is why, as a country, at times when things like this happen, we shouldn't be shocked. Because over the years, at least since 2012, when there was a major flooding across the country, government normally come out, we talk, make beautiful speeches, tell us that they are on top of the situation, they are putting measures in place to make sure that it doesn't happen again. We want to know what are those measures.
All right,
since 2012,
let me come
every
in.
year there seems to have been one flood or the other across the country. The point is, what has government done about it in the face of global warming and climate catastrophe that is affecting not just Nigeria but the entire globe?
Right, Dr. Austin, you've spoken really well. Apparently, you are abreast, or up to speed with, the progression of events. You even, had to make reference to when the Alao Dam, was constructed far back in, the 1980s. Now, we also understand.
1982.
We also understand that construct, that dam, and it actually took a number of years as well, before it was completed. Now we also understand that the flooding being experienced, in Borno State is as a result of excessive rainfall. Now you spoke to, climate change and global warming issues earlier. The question I'd like to ask you now is, how intentional, have we been really in that regard? Aside, sensitizing Nigerians, not to build on waterways and, make sure that drainages are, kept really clean and such that there are no particles, blocking, the right of way for water.
I think when questions like these are asked, apart from what government is saying, we are all Nigerians, we live in Nigeria. The question that occurred to me is that what mitigating factor or action you see the government, both at the national and sub-national levels, what do you see them doing that indicates a state of preparedness for catastrophe of this nature? Our gutters are blocked, our waterways are blocked, our rivers, our streams are blocked. There is no concrete measures in place to desilt, to remove debris, to ensure that water flows freely when there is, rainfall. We build this infrastructure like Abuja, where we stay, for instance. We know that most of the underground drainage facilities in Abuja are not flowing because there are debris, there are silt that have gathered in these channels over the years. There is no concrete measure in place by government to make sure that this anomaly is addressed. We live in a country where government is mighty to build, but when it comes to maintenance culture is dead. But we do know that funds are projected for these activities on a yearly basis. So the question should be asked is, what are these funds, or where are these funds going into when they are not properly channeled to what they have designed?
Before we talk
this is a major problem.
Dr. Austin, let me botch you again. Before we talk about the funds, that have been appropriated for, situations like this, let's talk about the attitude, of Nigerians and the efforts that Nigerians or the masses also, are put in place to ensure that these kind of, events don't have, adverse effect, on us.
It comes to awareness. It's at times when we talk about government has to play its role. It's because government is the veteran. Government is in charge of all of us. Government collect taxes from us to carry out these activities. So government at some point in time must be held accountable when things like this happen. Of course, you can argue, rightly so, that the citizens have a role to play. The citizens have a role to ensure that infrastructure in place by the federal government are maintained and are kept in good condition at all, especially in a situation whereby people are want to, put put refuse in dredges and waterways, or where you have situation where individuals build their houses on waterways, they still come to the government. It is government in the first place. If it is government is up its responsibility, it should be able to ensure that people building to block waterways, those buildings are removed, or it doesn't come in the first place. Government is the responsibility of government, again, to ensure that the citizens are properly sensitized on the dangers of what they are doing. When government fails, we should be able to hold government accountable, because government has all the power to hold citizens accountable for their wrong action. So specifically on what happened in Borno and what is happening across the country, it was predicted. But what action? What we should be looking at is what action, what mitigating action did government put in?
But Dr. Austin,
Did it happen? These are the issues.
Dr. Austin, let me come in again. Flood alert, was actually issued to Nigerians. We know, of course, that NIMET, NEMA, and other, relevant stakeholders, they've really been on top of their game in that regard. So it appears we are more, we react more as opposed to being proactive, and perhaps this shouldn't, be directed at, the government alone.
Yeah, I have agreed with you that our side have their role to play, but government has more role to play. You talk about NIMET, for instance. NIMET is just there to make predictions. It's more like a predicting agency. You predict that this quantity of rainfall is going to happen in so area across the country. The point is, after that prediction, when you know that there's going to be excessive rain in the north eastern part of the country, but what did you do? What mitigating measures did you put in place to make sure that people are not adversely affected? See, we are talking about this now. We spoke about this years ago. We are talking about it today. And if measures are not put in place, it's not enough for government to always be reactive, to say we've sent 3 billion to Borno to take care of displaced persons and mitigate the consequences of the flood. This is not enough.
All right.
Or else, in the next 1, 2, 3 years, a disaster like this, even worse than this, we don't pray for it, can happen again, and we'll still be talking. We need to put our mouth where our money is. When we talk, we should talk and follow it up with action. That is what counts. In a situation where it is all about talking, climate change, government inability to act, how is government going to act? Is it by throwing money at the problem? It's not enough.
Okay.
There should be a comprehensive plan in dealing with the effect of climate change as a country. We don't have a blueprint that I know of to that effect. Most of the agencies you mentioned now, they just predict. But when you predict, what are the mitigating measures you put in place to deal with any eventuality? We always have an ad hoc approach to dealing with the problem. There's no comprehensive measure. It's not happening.
All right, Dr. Austin.
Please, bomb destroyed. What have you done that will be long-lasting in addressing the problem? These are the issues I think as a country we should focus on. We should focus on and be able to come up with solutions that will work over time for us as a people. Not have big measures, not ad hoc measures. We should have a comprehensive, the entire country is in crisis. One crisis, from one crisis to the other. The Northeast we are talking about is facing its own crisis already. And when this become part of it again, you can imagine what the people in that part of the country are going through.
Right, Dr. Austin, we understand that
and bodies to be able to deal with it when it occurs.
Yes. Thank you. We understand that the flooding, as a matter of fact, is expected to move southwards in the coming days and weeks. How much of a concern should this be to that region in particular, and what is expected, or what would you advise people in that region to do to avoid, the flooding having, adverse, impact or effect on them, as we've recorded in Borno State and other, northern states?
What can you do? It's like a man that is down. They're already down. You need fear no fall. They're falling. So the only thing they can do is the state government, the federal government will come to their rescue. Shouldn't turn violent. And to call on well-meaning Nigerians equal to come to their aids, to come out and help them, because these people seriously need help. As it is for them is double jeopardy, double tragedy. Most of these people are people who have run from their homes or shelter in IDP camps, and now to be struck by natural disaster of this nature. So you have twin disaster, befalling the people of Borno State. You have man-made disaster, which is as a result of bandits made the place, and of course, you now have this natural disaster. The only thing they can hope for is that government should live up to its talk, and they, on their part, believe that we have a government that works and appreciative of the pain, the sorrow, the hardship, its citizens are going through, and have the capacity to respond, appropriately and safe.
All right, Dr. Austin, the federal government has approved 3 billion naira for each state
of the properly applied to bring succor to those adversely affected by the devastation, the flood devastation in Maiduguri and other parts of Borno State.
All right. Dr. Austin, if you can hear me, the federal government has approved 3 billion naira for each state of the federation to tackle all forms of natural disasters. I mean, how realistic is this? Is this something that can actually address issues like this in the long term, or we are looking at, short-term response?
Evidently, it's a short-term. It's a short-term measure. But the government that thinks, the government that is strategic, the government that takes the interests of its people at heart, you work in the long term. You put measures in place. You envisage. You draw up scenarios and say, if this happens, how do we respond? So what we are seeing is just what I call a short-term measure, a mitigating measure to address the challenges and fallout from this devastation. People should see, Nigeria, we have an ecological fund that is supposed to take care of this kind of, disaster on the long term. We should begin to ask questions. Over the years, where have we really deployed the national ecological funds? Has it been properly applied on the long term? Why is it that we are having these disasters, natural disaster, flooding across the country on a perennial basis? So these are questions we need to ask. Thank God, we thank the government for responding, for making that fund available, but it's not enough. We are a country is not run on ad hoc basis, fire brigade. We should have long-term strategic planning to deal with real problems. And flooding, natural disasters of this nature is a real problem that the government should be able to come up with what I call a Marshall Plan in dealing with. If we need to begin to look at all our dams across the country and look at the structural integrity of these dams, not wait until one collapse before you put measures in place to say, okay, how do we do it? We should be strategic. With all the dams, from available records that I have, I know that we have over 300 dams in the country. We need to look at the structural integrity of all these dams. Can they withstand flooding? When were they built? Do we need more dams? Where should those dams be sited? Those are strategic planning. Those are strategic intervention that government can come up with to deal with this problem on a long-term basis.
All right. Dr. Austin, to come in again, we understand that over the past year, the federal government distributed 39.62 billion naira among the 36 states. The disbursement actually, reflect the varying degrees of environmental challenges faced across Nigeria, with funds allocated based on the severity of these challenges. Would you suggest, or would it be intelligent rather, to say that how these monies, were spent should be probed? Dr. Austin, are you there? Dr. Austin, are you there? Hello? All right, it's been a hassle, having this conversation with Dr. Austin right here in the studios. This is Eagles Outlook live on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, your radio experience you can count on. Dr. Austin, if you can hear me, I'm asking, talking about, the ecological funds, we understand that the federal government, spent quite a lot in the past year. The federal government had distributed 39.62 billion naira among the 36 states. Will it be right? All right, I think he hung up already, but thank you so much, Dr. Austin. I guess that's the much he can actually, offer on the show this morning, because he did, tell us that he would be able to spare only 30 minutes of his time on the show today. But thank you so much, Dr. Austin Maho, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program. I think this is where we'll just, let the listeners out there call in, to share your thoughts, and also suggest, proactive measures, that should be adopted to avoid a reoccurrence of these devastating incidents. And the number to call, on the show is 09087668888. Yes, please, when you call in, stick to the topic of discussion, avoid the use of vulgar or abusive language, and make your contributions or viewpoints really brief, so others can, call in to share your thoughts as well. Good morning to you.
Good morning, my sister.
Yes, your name and location, please.
Danoja, I'm calling from Cuba.
All right, please go ahead.
My regard to you and to your family and to the other people. My sister, you see, if you say our leader know what to do, all these things will not happen. Therefore, it's supposed to be a blessing to Nigeria, not cost. See, I have happened to be in Libya. There's a course I do in Libya during Gaddafi. See, let me give you an example. That dam at Meduguri. There's many local governments in Meduguri where there's no water. What they're supposed to do is to channel that dam to that area. Channel that dam to that area. Keep pipe. You see, that's a project where they are doing in Nigeria now. They are carrying this BB pipe. They are putting pipe to carry forward to Nigeria or this and this. I think it's going to need Libya. Don't you like, you know Makon, River Benue, River Niger. If they open them from Cameroon, used to call disaster in Nigeria here. That type of river, they will channel it from that place. They will feed those pipes, passing through the place where there's no water in Benue. Don't you like Tuso local government? Don't you like Obadibo local government? To Enugu side, to Ugolafort side, there's no water there. People are digging reservoir during the rain with the store water there. That type of a pipe, they will fish it from that river Benue, you channel water to that side. Any village when the pipe reach, there's a place there's something where they call a reservoir. They will dig the reservoir for them there. Anytime they can go and open that pipe. If water will flow to that reservoir, the village will use it. From state to state, they go to Libya to see how they manage this. Federal government are giving money to colleges every year. There's nothing they are doing with it. And then the money they are giving to governors, and they're not supposed to give it to governors. They are supposed to see that money. That money is supposed to build water, resources. To begin the channel, those water from them. The area where there's no water, there's no one. That river Benue, we can feed it.
Elder Noja, I'd like you to wrap up your thoughts if you can hear me. Hello, good morning. Hello. All right, let's leave it there, Elder Onoja. Thank you so much for calling. We just have to take a quick commercial break now. We'll be back in a moment to take more calls. This is Eagles Outlook on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Please listen to this announcement. Unlock your future with Study Now in collaboration with York St. John University at the Study Abroad Fair in Abuja. Discover top-up, postgraduate and research programs with tuition fees ranging from £11,300 to £11,800. Meet university representatives, receive instant application approvals and even get an offer on the spot. Study Now's services are completely free, including complimentary visa assistance. Join us on October 9th at the exclusive Serene Hotel and Suites, Plot 31 Ruben Okoya Crescent, Wuye, Abuja. Time 2 p.m. Your journey to success begins here. Don't just dream it, achieve it. Study now, where your future begins. Send an email to manager.eo@studynow.org.uk or call 090-6302-7684. That is 090-6302-7684. 090-6302-7684. Don't study later, study now.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Welcome to Feminism Friday, where every Friday is a celebration of gender equality and empowerment. Tune in to Eagles FM 102.3 from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Friday for inspiring talks on gender roles, women's rights, and inclusivity. Join us for inspiring conversations, insightful discussions, and the best part is that you get to contribute and be part of the program. The show will spotlight the champions of feminism and offering actionable steps for a just and equitable Nigeria. Feminism Lab, where your voice makes a difference. Take action with us now. The program is a production of Feminism Lab, sponsored by Friedrich Ebert Stiftung, Nigeria.
For so long, you've been silenced. We have just found your voice. Take it, use it.
You assess Nigerians before we become politicians or before you become a member of any political party. The kind of things that happen in Nigeria, this is so obnoxious that if God looks down from heaven, you realize that we are really paying for our sins.
Speak your truth and be heard on the Eagles Morning Rise, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eagles 102.3 FM, your radio experience you can count on.
Right, welcome back from the commercial break. Right there, it is Eagles Outlook on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja, your radio experience you can count on. And on the show this morning, we are discussing or looking at 2024 flooding and also charting the way forward. Earlier, I spoke with Dr. Austin Maho, who is a public affairs analyst and also publisher at Daybreak Nigeria. And it's now time for you to call in to share your thoughts. Yes, at this point in time we're looking at, the way forward. Let's not, make a storm in a teacup over a spilt milk. What proactive measures should be adopted to avoid a reoccurrence of these devastating incidents in Nigeria? Yes, we have a caller. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Efe. This is Alami calling from Central Area.
Good to have you, Alami.
Yes, thank you. Efe, flooding is a natural disaster that cannot be completely prevented. What we can do is manage it, put some measures in place, in managing the impact on our environment, life and property in general. And then again, in all of my view, I always say that the federal government is always the least, it's always secondary for me. In this case, the question I'll be asking is, what are the measures that the affected states, the flood-prone states, states like my home state, Kogi, Anambra, Borno State, and others. Whenever NIMET come out and give, the warning and predictions of, potential flood, what are the governors doing in this instance? I believe if Borno State Governor had been a bit more proactive, we would have been, to manage the humanitarian crisis. I'm citing my own example. Where we are very Bello. In 2023, Yaya Bello set up, a commission known as the flood and the humanitarian management team, drawn across all the ministries and MDAs and departments from they were galvanizing and mobilizing resources, both internally, mobilizing donors, to donate, to sensitize, the people, particularly the flood-prone areas of Lokoja, Kaba, Olamaboro, and Kotokansi. And then, not just that, they are now relocated, the other committee now relocate, we are, whenever flood is predicted, rainy season, since 2023, they relocate, the people from, the flood-prone areas to higher. As I speak, the construction of what is known as flood housing estate, one area in Ajokuta, one of the prone to flood. One is located in Kaba, the other one is located.
Right, Alami, could you please wrap up your thoughts? Yes.
Yes, so in conclusion, what are the states? I just gave you my own state government that prevented, if this measure place, probably our own case would have been even worse, considering the fact that, we are confident other state government doing before we even talk about federal government. What are state government doing to safeguard the properties and life? Flooding prediction.
All right, thank you, Alamin, for your contribution right there. Indeed, we understand that flooding is actually a natural disaster and really can be avoided. But of course, measures can also be put in place to mitigate, or to kind of like reduce the impact to have, on citizens. I think that's the reason why we're having this conversation this morning. And I've rightly been informed that we have to try to wrap things up real quick because of a sponsored program that would be coming up. So I'll quickly, take some of the messages from the WhatsApp, portal this morning. This one here says, "Good morning, madam. What we need to understand is that natural disaster is a natural occurrence that will never tell you her nature of devastation. Therefore, national emergency agencies should always try to give accurate predictions so that people can be moved to safer ground. While state governors who have not been proactive enough should see how they can rechannel this water to the seas to prevent future occurrence. Water will always find her level when prevented to freely flow." This is from Abbas. Okay, Abbas from Dutse. Thank you so much, Abbas, for your contribution right there. And then here, this one says, "Good morning. My my sister Omoife. Proactive measure rather to prevent flooding. The first thing to do is to dialogue with our neighboring countries that are in the habit of releasing water from their dams without notice. Secondly, people should avoid building on floodplain. Thirdly, people in authority should change their attitude, and the flooding was predicted by NIMET, yet no preemptive action was put in place. Fourthly, environmental impact assessment should be conducted before such project is put in place. I advise other states that are prone to flooding to begin to take proactive measures to avoid similar occurrences. Yusuf from Wuse too, thank you so much for that message. Indeed, there is need, for the relevant stakeholders and even government at all levels here to be on top of their game. We must not really wait for the rainy season, to start, putting measures in place to ensure that people are not adversely impacted or affected, if you like, by the floodings that we get to experience on a yearly basis. Now, we have the heads up already that the flooding being experienced, which of course is flash flooding as a result of excessive rainfall, is built to move southwards, that's towards the Niger Delta region in the coming days or even weeks. Now, what is expected of the people and even the government around that region? Indeed, there is need for people to be very, very proactive. Well, losses, we're definitely going to count losses, but we do hope that lives will not be lost, any further from this, 2024 floodings that we're experiencing at this point in time in the country. I'm afraid we just have to leave it here now for the sponsor program that will be coming up, shortly. But I'd like to say a very big thank you to each and every one of you for spending part of your time with us on the Eagles Morning Rise show right here on Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Thank you sincerely for those that called in and even my guests who joined us live via telephone this morning. Thank you sincerely for sharing your thoughts with us. Let me state very clearly that the views expressed by the guests and the callers were not influenced by Eagles FM 102.3 Abuja. Until next week, Monday, when I will return with Uduak Daniel, do have yourselves a great and fantastic weekend ahead. I am Omoife Peace of Seminary.
Eagles.